The day I won the lottery should have been the happiest day of my life. When the final number was announced on the television, a collective gasp filled our small living room, followed by an eruption of pure, unadulterated joy. My entire family was ecstatic, jumping up and down, hugging and shouting in disbelief. The only person who remained silent, a stark contrast to the celebratory chaos, was my mother-in-law, Eleanor. She sat on the armchair like a stone statue, her face a mask of something I couldn't quite decipher, but it certainly wasn't happiness. A few nights after the initial shock wore off, I was awoken by a faint creak from my bedroom door. I found her in the dim light of the hallway, her shadow stretching across the floor as she snuck into my room. I watched, frozen, as she carefully swapped the real lottery ticket I had tucked away with a convincing fake. An hour later, long after she had returned to her own room and the house was filled with the sound of her deep, untroubled sleep, I crept out of bed. I retrieved the real ticket from its new hiding place and put the fake one back where she had left the original. The next day, Eleanor approached me with an air of manufactured sincerity. "We're not the kind of family that takes advantage of people," she said, her voice smooth and practiced. "You and Mark should get a post-nuptial agreement to keep your finances separate. It's the right thing to do." My husband, Mark, who had been listening from the kitchen, was thrilled by the idea. "Sure, honey," he exclaimed, beaming at me. "I don't want your money." My husband, Mark, and I were, on the surface, a perfect match. We filled in each other's gaps, or so it seemed. My family had never had much money, but they had instilled in me the value of education. I had a college degree and a stable job as an online tutor, something I was proud of. Mark, on the other hand, had never attended college. His family, however, owned their house and a car, which, in our town, counted for a lot. He worked for a friend who owned a local shop, earning a fixed, modest salary. We were both possessed by the dream of striking it rich, but our approaches couldn't have been more different. For me, it was a whimsical fantasy, a bit of fun. For Mark, getting rich was a life-or-death mission, the singular goal that drove him. He was an avid poker player, constantly talking about the day he would become a champion in Las Vegas. I preferred a simpler gamble. I liked to buy a lottery ticket every now and then, more for the thrill of possibility than any real expectation of winning. But this time, against all odds, I actually won. The whole family passed the ticket around, checking the numbers over and over again until the ink was nearly worn from our fingerprints. There was no mistake. It was the grand prize, $30 million. Everyone was losing their minds. Mark immediately began planning his new life. He announced he was going to buy a top-of-the-line luxury car and park it directly in front of his office. He couldn't wait to see the look on his friend's face, the owner who he felt always looked down on him. He fantasized about the other employees, people he'd worked alongside for years, suddenly looking up to him with envy and respect. My own parents were overjoyed for me, but their excitement was tempered with practical advice. They gently reminded me to plan carefully, to invest wisely, and to save for a comfortable retirement. Amidst all this celebration and planning, only my mother-in-law, Eleanor, watched it all unfold with a cold, detached expression. She seemed less like a spectator at a joyous event and more like someone who was deeply, personally annoyed. With the corners of her mouth turned down in a permanent frown, she finally spoke, her voice laced with a passive-aggressive tone that was all too familiar. "Sarah," she said, "you really lucked out marrying into our family." I was confused at first, not understanding her meaning. "I'm saying," she clarified, her voice sharp, "that the men in our family are born lucky. Without my son's good fortune, and mine, how could you have possibly won?" There it was again, her signature move, trying to pick a fight out of thin air. She had always made it clear that she thought I wasn't good enough for her son. "Eleanor," I countered, trying to keep my voice even, "if your family is so lucky, how come Mark never seems to win at poker?" Her eyes bulged. "Because you've sucked all the luck away from him," she snapped. "That lottery ticket should have been mine." It was an unbelievable statement, utterly absurd. I didn't have the energy to deal with her, so I turned to Mark. "Let's just figure out a plan after we cash the ticket," I said patiently. "We shouldn't be reckless with this money." Mark's mood soured instantly. "What do you mean, reckless?" he shot back, his voice rising. "You just don't want to buy me a luxury car, right?" Is that it? I tried to reason with him. We need to plan our finances carefully. 30 million sounds like a lot, but it won't be much after we buy a house and a car. We have to think about the future, about having kids, about retirement. His anger only flared hotter. Oh, I see how it is. You were more than happy to marry me for my family's house and car, but now that you have real money, you don't want to spend a single dime of it on me. I grabbed his wrist, desperate to make him understand. No, that's not it at all. Just listen to me for a second. Just then, his mother stood up, her eyes glued to the lottery ticket in my hand. She cut me off before I could say another word. If you ask me, she declared, you young people are the worst at managing money. I should hold on to that ticket for safekeeping. I couldn't help but laugh. No thanks, Eleanor. I'm perfectly capable of managing it myself. What if you waste it all? She pressed. You should be more worried about Mark, I retorted. He's the one who wants to spend it all in one go. Then don't cash it yet, she said. Wait until we've all agreed on a proper plan. Mark, who had been fuming on the couch, seemed to latch onto this idea. His mother tilted her head, a calculating look in her eyes. We can cash it later. We have 60 days. She paused, as if considering her own words. Yes, I think cashing it later is a good idea. Let the good fortune linger in the house for a little longer. That night, I was in our bedroom, still trying to explain my reasoning to Mark, but he was distant and unreceptive. His mother appeared in the doorway and called him out into the living room. When he returned a little while later, his demeanor had completely changed. He was suddenly sweet and apologetic. Sarah, he said softly, my mom just wants to take a picture of the ticket to post on her social media. To share the good news. A knot formed in my stomach. I had a very bad feeling about this. While I hesitated, my mother-in-law walked right into our bedroom without knocking. Why haven't you given me the ticket yet? She demanded, her voice impatient. Are you afraid I'm going to steal it? I wasn't before, but now that she'd said it, the suspicion was planted firmly in my mind. Reluctantly, I handed her the ticket. She took a quick picture of it with her phone, right there in front of me, and then handed it back. Here, she said with a sniff. You better take good care of it. Don't come crying to me if you lose it. Mark was exceptionally sweet to me for the rest of the night, constantly trying to butter me up. It was so out of character that it felt like he was up to something sinister. His mother's behavior was even stranger. She had claimed she was going to post the picture online, but I checked her social media pages repeatedly and saw nothing. It became clear that taking a picture of the ticket was a pretext for something else entirely. The third day after the win was a strange one. Mark spent the entire day glued to his phone, scrolling through websites for luxury cars. His mother was equally engrossed, happily browsing online stores for designer goods. Oh, I've never had a good life, she sighed dramatically to no one in particular. I can't believe I'm finally going to get to enjoy things in my old age, all thanks to my wonderful son. I had to bite my tongue to keep from saying it was thanks to me. Mark deliberately went to work late that morning. He told me he wanted to give his friend, the shop owner, a chance to chew him out, just so he could savor the moment when he turned the tables on him as a rich man. His mother was out for most of the day. I had no idea where she went or what she was doing. Later that day, a friend called and asked if I could cover an online Chinese conversation class for her that night. With some time to kill before the class, I was bored and scrolled through my phone, checking messages in my various group chats. A message suddenly popped up in one of my groups for gig workers. It was from a user I didn't know well. You guys won't believe this, the message read. Someone just hired me to make a fake lottery ticket. Another user replied, what kind of ticket? User A wrote back, the one for the big jackpot that was announced a few days ago, the $30 million one. Someone else chimed in, whoa, who are they planning to scam with that? No idea, user A replied. It was an old lady. Maybe she's just doing it for a prank. Another user joked, old ladies are wild these days. Right, user A said. Check her out, she looks pretty funny herself. He then posted a screenshot from what looked like a security camera. I zoomed in on the image. My blood ran cold. It was, without a doubt, my mother-in-law, so I was right. Taking a picture of the ticket wasn't just for fun, and she had lied about posting it online. She was planning to pull a switcheroo, to steal my winnings from right under my nose. Fine, I thought, a cold resolve settling over me. If you want to play games, I'll play along. That evening, Mark came home and was incredibly, unnervingly nice to me. Before we went to bed, he even brought me a glass of warm milk, something he had never done before. It was a gesture I never got to enjoy. Usually, his mother would watch him like a hawk to make sure he drank every last drop of anything special himself. I held up the glass and smiled sweetly. Ah, you're the best, honey. I then pretended to take sips while walking around the room. When his back was turned, I wiped a little of the milk on my lips to create the illusion of having drunk it, then dumped the rest of the liquid into a large potted plant by the window. I turned and handed him the empty glass. Thanks, honey. That was delicious. Mark took the glass, beaming. Great. If you like it, you can have it every night. Yeah, right, I thought. If that milk didn't have a hefty dose of sleeping pills in it, I'll eat my hat. At midnight, I feigned a deep, peaceful sleep. In reality, my heart was pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I don't know how long I waited in the darkness, but eventually I heard the subtle sound of Mark quietly getting out of bed. 5 minutes later, the door creaked open again, and he tiptoed back in, followed by his mother. She whispered, her voice a harsh rasp in the silence. Where did she put it? Mark whispered back, under the power bank on the nightstand. His mother cautiously opened my nightstand drawer. At that moment, I deliberately rolled over in bed and let out a small, sleepy groan. The two of them were so startled, they stumbled backwards and fell right onto the floor with a soft thud. A few seconds later, Mark even crept over to my side of the bed to check if I was still breathing. He probably wished I'd just dropped dead right then and there, didn't he? That witch, his mother hissed from the floor. She scared the life out of me. She clutched her chest for a moment, then, recovering her composure, she stealthily swapped my real lottery ticket with the fake one she'd had made. Son, listen to me, she whispered urgently. I'm hiding the ticket in the gap behind the TV in the living room. That way, we can see it every day. Just don't let her find it. Mark nodded excitedly in the dark. Don't worry, Mom. Then his mother added, Have you won over that rich girl at your work yet? Hurry up and tell her your mom won the lottery. Almost, Mark replied eagerly. You just wait and see. My hands clenched the bedsheets so tightly my knuckles turned white. So Mark was cheating on me. No wonder he was so desperate to prove himself to his coworkers. A white-hot rage surged through me. I wanted to jump up right then and slap them both across the face. But I knew I couldn't let them off that easily. If I caused a scene now and we ended up getting a divorce, Mark would still be legally entitled to half of the prize money. I was going to make sure he got absolutely nothing. After a lot of fussing and whispering, the two of them finally quieted down. Mark slipped back into bed, glanced at me with disdain, and muttered something under his breath. What a loser, sharing a bed with me. I held my breath, the rage in my chest about to explode. Soon, Mark started snoring, a deep, satisfied sound that grated on my nerves. I nudged him. You piece of garbage, are you asleep? He didn't move. Barefoot and silent, I snuck out of the bedroom and into the living room. Using the dim light from my phone's screen, I located the lottery ticket tucked neatly into the gap behind the television set. I carefully swapped the real and fake tickets back. But just as I sat down at the small computer desk in the living room, my mother-in-law burst out of her bedroom. What are you doing? She shouted, her voice filled with alarm. I looked back at her calmly. I have a class to teach. Her eyes darted around the room, from the TV to me and back again. What's wrong, Eleanor? It's so late. Do you want to watch TV? No, she stammered. I just couldn't sleep. I got up to do some dusting. My mother-in-law grabbed a nearby rag and started wiping down the area around the TV, putting on a grand show of cleaning. Only after she had peered behind the set and saw the ticket still wedged in its hiding place did she finally seem to relax enough to leave. Oh, she said, with a forced yawn. I'm suddenly sleepy again. She stretched dramatically, shuffled back to her room, and went back to bed. The next day, I went to my parents' house and told them everything that had happened. My dad was surprisingly calm. He thought for a moment and then said, No matter what happens, he won't ask you for a divorce right now. Why not? I asked, confused. Because regardless of who physically has the ticket, the winnings are considered marital property. It's already established. A divorce would mean dividing the assets. I slumped in my chair, the injustice of it all washing over me. I was going to have to split $30 million with someone like him. So, let's not cash the ticket just yet, my dad continued. Let's just wait and see how things play out. But my parents were overthinking it. They were giving Mark and his mother far too much credit for intelligence. When I got home that day, my mother-in-law pulled me aside for a serious talk. We're not the kind of family that takes advantage of people, she began, her voice dripping with false sincerity. You two should get a post-nup to keep your finances separate. I raised an eyebrow, feigning surprise. If she really believed she had the winning ticket, a move like this would leave me with absolutely nothing after a divorce. It was a clever, greedy plan. I glanced over at Mark. He nodded eagerly in agreement. I think Mom's right, he said, puffing out his chest. A real man can't take a woman's money. I'm going to make my own fortune. And just like that, we went to a lawyer and got a post-nuptial agreement. The document stated that no matter what happened, sickness, death, or divorce, we would not touch each other's personal assets. The moment she held the notarized document in her hands, my mother-in-law was practically dancing with joy. I could almost see imaginary flowers blooming around her as she twirled in the bright sunshine of the living room. She looked like a wrinkled 80-year-old teenager, a sight that was both grotesque and comical. I smiled along with her, playing my part. She walked over and patted my shoulder, her intentions anything but kind. Sarah, I'm so happy for you. You get to keep your own money in your own hands. That stung. One of the things she had always hated most about me was that I earned more than Mark. He made a steady $2,000 a month, but he had a handsome face. He had struggled to find a girlfriend he liked until he met me. In a small city like ours, a woman with a flexible, high-earning remote job who could pull in 5 figures a month was a rare find. So, in hindsight, Mark probably went after me for purely financial reasons. His mom always boasted that she was a great beauty in her youth. It's tough being beautiful, she would say. We lookers always have to suffer through poverty. I'd seen photos of her when she was young. She wasn't pretty. She was actually kind of ugly. Her late husband, on the other hand, had been a genuinely handsome man. That's where Mark got his looks. His mom had always wanted him to marry a rich woman, but things hadn't gone her way. After we got married, she repeatedly tried to get control of my money, and I always refused. She wanted too many things. Even if I gave her my entire salary, it would never have been enough. My natural thriftiness and her boundless extravagance were a stark, constant contrast. Her resentment towards me grew over time. If she had really gotten her hands on the ticket, $30 million probably wouldn't have been enough for her. Sarah, you're about to be super rich, she chirped. Why aren't you out there buying yourself some nice things? I smiled and shook my head. No, Eleanor, the money's not in the bank yet. I don't want to be wasteful. Huh? What are you talking about? It's a sure thing. Spend. I want you to spend. I tilted my head. Really, Eleanor? Then let's do it together. You spend. I spend. When my mother-in-law heard that, she went absolutely wild with joy. She immediately mortgaged the family's only house. Then she borrowed tremendous amounts of money from everyone she knew. Mark was even bolder, taking out high-interest payday loans left and right. The two of them were just clever enough not to rush to cash the ticket. They knew that if they divorced me immediately and then cashed it, I would definitely sue them. I had bought the ticket, I had the payment record on my bank statement, and the lottery stand had a record of issuing the winning ticket from their location. If I sued, they would lose for sure. Not only would they have to return the ticket, but they would also likely be charged with theft, and this wasn't a small amount of money. So they were playing a waiting game, hoping I'd get impatient and try to cash the ticket myself. Their plan was for me to go to the lottery office, discover the ticket was a fake, and get entangled in a frustrating back and forth with the lottery officials. Eventually, they assumed I'd have to give up. After the dust had settled, they'd find some flimsy excuse to divorce me. They would disappear from my life without a trace and go live it up with $30 million. But how could I possibly let them get what they wanted? In the 3 years we'd been married, Mark had spent at least $200,000 of my money. I was determined to get that money back. What I didn't expect was that his mom was even more vicious than I had imagined. She not only wanted to see me broke, but she also wanted to lure me into massive debt. That's why she kept pushing me to spend big. Fine. If she loved shopping so much, I'd play along. I left the real lottery ticket with my parents for safekeeping. Then, I went with Mark and his mom to look at cars, bags, and makeup. Mark picked out a sports car that cost over $1 million. His mom picked out countless designer bags, expensive cosmetics, and high-end clothes. The two of them even booked a luxury cruise, dropping $240,000 without batting an eye. "Oh, Sarah, look!" Eleanor taunted, holding up the cruise confirmation. "I booked 3 tickets for the cruise, but none of them are for you." She raised her eyebrows, deliberately trying to provoke me. I wasn't annoyed in the slightest. I just asked with genuine curiosity, "Eleanor, how did you suddenly get so rich? The winning ticket is mine, and I haven't agreed to give you any money yet." She rolled her eyes, displeased. "Humph. I knew you weren't that generous. I'm not counting on you for money." "Then aren't you afraid you won't be able to pay all of this back?" I asked. She gave me a light shove and walked ahead. "I already told you, our family is lucky. You were sucking all the luck away, but now that you and Mark have separate finances, the luck is back." "Did you win the lottery too?" I pressed. She froze, scrambling for an excuse. Our old family home is being demolished, and we got a huge payout." "How much did you get?" I continued, not letting up. 30 million. "Wow, Eleanor, your ancestors must be smiling down on you." I clapped my hands together. "You should really enjoy it. A luxury cruise isn't enough. I know something even better." She stopped and looked back at me, her curiosity piqued. "Plastic surgery," I said. "You have no idea how many people go abroad for it. They come back looking 20 years younger. A 60-year-old can look 26. Her eyes lit up with a greedy fire. "Really? There are actresses in their 70s dating men under 30, all because of their faces." My mother-in-law was beaming. She thought her life was about to hit its peak. So she started researching plastic surgery every single day. She spent all her time on social media curating a new online persona for herself as a rich young widow. She claimed she was a 40-year-old heiress who had tragically lost her husband, and, unbelievably, quite a few men fell for it. She would even get into ridiculous bidding wars during male models' live streams to become their top financial supporter. The models would then ask to meet her offline, hoping to get more money out of her. She'd tell them, "Just wait, sweetie. I'll see you in 3 months." In reality, she had an appointment to get a complete head-to-toe facelift abroad and was scheduled to leave in a few days. Her spending was completely out of control. In just half a month, she had single-handedly blown through $1.5 million of the prize money she didn't even have. Mark was furious. One night, I overheard the two of them arguing in the bathroom. "Mom, you're spending way too much. At your age, can't you just go line dancing or something?" She slapped him hard across the face. The sound echoed in the small house. "How dare you? Without me, would you be able to buy a luxury car? It's 30 million in total. What's wrong with me spending a few million?" But the money's not in the bank yet," he protested. "How can you spend so much?" "What's there to be afraid of, you coward? I'm going abroad for my face in a few days. While I'm gone, you push Sarah to cash the ticket. Then let her cause a big scene, and you'll have a reason to divorce her." "Hey, that's a great idea, Mom. You're a genius." The night his mom left for her trip, Mark seemed to have something he wanted to say to me. I was sitting on the couch watching TV. He came and sat down next to me. "Honey, what are you watching?" "I'm watching this show," I said, pointing at the screen. The main character is actually the long-lost son of a rich family. After he finds his family, he becomes a millionaire. But he's still such a wimp. Even with all that money, he's still working for other people. Why can't he just smash his lunch bowl in the face of the boss who bullies him? That way, the woman he likes would finally look up to him. She might even fall in love with him. Mark's eyes flickered with interest. Women like it when men do that? Of course, I said, sitting up straighter. Women love a hero, especially a rich one. Mark sat on the couch, lost in thought for a long time. He didn't even notice when I got up and went to bed. The next day, I got a call from his boss. He told me that during the lunch break, Mark had dumped his entire bowl of food directly on the boss's head. He had yelled at him, "I'm rich now. $30 million. You got that? And you're still making me pass you the chopsticks." The boss, picking bits of rice out of his hair, asked irritably, "Mark, are you crazy?" Mark had then jumped up on a table, furious. "You think you can call me that? Who do you think you are?" The boss was livid. "Have you lost your mind? If it weren't for me, you'd be eating out of a dumpster. I only hired you because we were classmates in elementary school. I don't care if you're rich now. What you did today was wrong. What are you gonna do about it? Get out. You're fired." "Fine by me. You think I wanted to stay here? Can't you see I drive a car that costs over $1 million? Do you have one of those?" And just like that, Mark was fired. His boss said to me, "Sarah, don't blame me for firing your husband. He was completely out of line." "It's okay," I said calmly. "I don't blame you. He said he's rich now. Where did he get the money?" "His mom said their old family home was demolished and they got $30 million. "Bullshit," the boss scoffed. "His family's hometown is in the middle of nowhere. They wouldn't even get $3,000 for that shack, let alone $30 million. The boss also told me that before Mark left, he gave a female coworker a very thick, very expensive gold necklace. He suggested I keep an eye on him to see if he was cheating. I managed to get some of the security footage from the office. Well, it wasn't just a gold necklace. While his mom was away, he had taken all the luxury goods she'd bought and given them to that woman one by one. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I wondered if his mom would lose her mind if she ever found out. That evening, Mark came home in high spirits. He sat down to chat with me, a smug look on his face. "Sarah, why haven't you cashed the ticket yet? Look at me and my mom living the high life. Isn't it great?" I sighed dramatically. "It's not that I don't want to cash it. It's that I can't afford to." He asked warily, "What do you mean?" "I went to the lottery headquarters to ask." I lied smoothly. "They said for an amount this large, I have to pay a processing fee first." Mark shot up from his seat, angry. "What? There's a fee. Isn't that a scam?" I waved for him to sit back down. They probably saw how much I won and just want a piece of the pie. "So how much do they want?" he demanded. I held up 5 fingers. 500,000. "That much?" "Well, I don't think it's that much," I said with a shrug. "For a $30 million ticket, asking for 500,000 is better than getting nothing at all. There are so many of them working there. I'm afraid they'll just rip up my ticket on the spot if I argue." "So what are we going to do?" he pressed. "I don't know," I said nonchalantly. "I figure I'm not in a rush to spend the money, so I'll just wait." "What do you mean you're not in a rush?" Mark was getting anxious now. "How can you not be in a rush? The ticket expires in 20 days. "If it expires, it expires," I said with another shrug. "Maybe I'm just not meant to be rich. Either way, there's no way I can come up with $500,000 right now." Mark stomped his feet in frustration. Fine. I'll figure something out." Actually, I had calculated the $500,000 very carefully. In our years of marriage, he and his mom had spent at least $300,000 of my hard-earned money. I added another $100,000 per year for emotional distress. Did they really think I was going to be their personal maid for free? That night, Mark hid in the bathroom again to make a phone call. He was talking to his mom, who was still abroad recovering from her surgery. "Give it to her," I heard her say through the door. "Son, we have 30 million. 500,000 is nothing. Be a man, cut to the chase." "Okay, Mom, whatever you say, cut to the chase." The next day, Mark transferred $500,000 to my bank account. I looked at the transfer notification on my phone, my brow furrowed in mock concern. "Honey, we have a post-nup. I can't just take your money." "You can pay me back later," he said dismissively. Wow, the nerve of this guy. I smiled sweetly and turned on the TV. The security footage of him giving lavish gifts to his female coworker started playing on the screen. What's this all about? I asked innocently. Mark wasn't scared. In fact, he became even more arrogant. I'm seeing someone else. What are you going to do about it? You know, I said calmly, if you cheat during a marriage, the court might rule that you have to walk away with nothing, right? That's bullshit. We have a postnup. Do we? Then I can still demand you pay back all the money I've spent on you over the years, can't I? Mark, who knew nothing about the law, was stunned into silence. So, what do you want? He asked, his head held high in a pathetic attempt at defiance. I pulled 2 signed divorce agreements out of my bag. I want a divorce. The $500,000 you transferred to me will be considered my financial and emotional compensation for your infidelity. Kevin looked me up and down, a smirk on his face. That's it? I smiled. Yep. I've got a $30 million lottery ticket. What do I have to be afraid of? He threw his head back and laughed, a loud booming sound that filled the room. Ha 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 ha, right. Ha 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 ha, you have 30 million. Fine. I'll sign. It's just 500,000, right? It's all yours. After we both signed the divorce papers, we went straight to the courthouse and got it finalized. We were officially strangers. As we left the building, he said, Sarah, you'll regret leaving me. If you ever need my help in the future, don't come crying to me. I smiled at him. Oh, and who do you think you are that I'd ever need your help? And who do you think you are, getting to be my wife for 2 years? With that, he walked away without a second glance. After I got back to my parents' house, the 3 of us immediately went to claim the prize money. We had already made an appointment and filled out all the necessary paperwork with our IDs 2 weeks prior. Today was just for picking up the check. That night, as my parents and I sat around the kitchen table, planning what to do with the money, a call came in from my ex-mother-in-law. So my son finally kicked you to the curb, she sneered. I never liked you anyway, always showing off how much you earn. You think that piddly amount you make is anything to be proud of? Did you know? My son's new girlfriend is already a month pregnant. Are you jealous? Are you mad? Well, I'm telling you, it's no use, you jinx. Now that you're out of our family, you have no luck left. Just wait for disaster to strike. I could read between the lines perfectly. She was desperately trying to tell me, without saying it outright, that I wouldn't be able to cash that ticket and that I should go cry about it. For a split second, a wave of panic washed over me. I actually wondered if swapping the tickets back had all been a crazy dream. I opened my phone again and checked my bank balance. I counted the zeros several times. It wasn't a dream, it was real. And in that moment, the weight of everything that had happened crashed down on me, and I felt an overwhelming sense of injustice. I buried my face in my mom's shoulder and cried for a long time. My mom patted my back gently. Don't cry, she said softly. It's all over now. My dad, who had been quietly smoking a cigarette, spoke up. Didn't Sarah always want to study abroad? Look at this money. Is it enough for your mom and me to go with you? Life was suddenly full of hope again. My parents said they didn't want anything for themselves. They just wanted to see me happy and maybe ride my coattails a bit to see the world. I nodded, tears still streaming down my face. Yes, I choked out. Let's all go together. A few days later, while I was busy filling out applications for universities abroad, I got a message from an old neighbor. She said my ex-mother-in-law was back. She looked like a monster, her face swollen like a soggy loaf of bread from the plastic surgery. It was a terrifying sight, but she was strutting around town claiming she'd been rejuvenated. She told anyone who would listen that a bunch of handsome young guys were chasing after her, desperate to date her. The neighbors couldn't be bothered with her nonsense. She, in turn, acted like she was too good for them and ignored anyone who tried to say hello. 3 days after that, I was scrolling through videos on my phone and kept seeing the same news story pop up. Elderly plastic surgery patient causes scene at lottery headquarters, and woman attempts to cash fake lottery ticket for $30 million. I watched a few different clips to piece the whole story together. After my ex-mother-in-law got back, she and Mark had secretly gone to cash the prize. At the lottery office, an employee calmly told them, "This prize has already been claimed. The winner already took the money." Eleanor flew into a rage. Her ticket was a fake. How could you let her cash it? The employee was confused. How could it be fake? We have machines to verify them. If what you're saying is true, our entire system would be in chaos. My ex-mother-in-law's face turned beet red, which made her already swollen face look even puffier and more grotesque. The more it swelled, the more it itched, and the more it itched, the more agitated she got. She was scratching at her face like a madwoman and screaming at the staff. An employee tried to reason with her. Ma'am, if you have a problem with our procedures, you can take legal action. But if you continue to cause a scene, we'll have to take measures. What measures? I'm the winner of $30 million. I have $30 million. How dare you disrespect me? Well, they disrespected her. They called security, who promptly threw both her and Mark out of the building like 2 bags of trash. That night, my ex-mother-in-law and Mark showed up at my parents' house. She glared at me, her eyes burning with hatred. You went and cashed the ticket. I smiled calmly. Of course I had to cash it. How did you manage to cash it? Why wouldn't I be able to? I bought the ticket. I won the prize. Her brow furrowed in confusion. My mom smiled sweetly. So, how's Mark's new fiancé doing? When's the due date? Mark stammered. It's still early. She just got pregnant. Oh, are you two married yet? You wouldn't want the baby to have trouble getting registered. My ex-mother-in-law slammed her teacup down on the coffee table. It's none of your business, so stop asking. Mark, we're leaving. Mark looked back at me, his eyes full of a strange reluctance. I waved. Take care of your fiancé. I wish you happiness. Was he reluctant to leave me, or the $30 million in my pocket? It was hard to say. I heard later that his new fiancée was a real handful, always causing trouble. The next day, another message popped up in that gig worker group chat. It was the same guy who had made the first fake ticket. You guys won't believe this. That old lady who had me make a fake lottery ticket last time came back. How much is this one for? Someone asked. This time she had me make a fake $50 million ticket. She even praised my work, saying it looked just like the real thing. You better be careful, another user warned. If she gets in trouble, she might blame you. Don't worry, he replied. I told her I only make props and that none of it can be used for real. She signed an agreement. When I saw that message, I knew more trouble was coming. I immediately told my parents my plan. We moved out that night and decided to lay low until we were ready to go abroad. Sure enough, my ex-mother-in-law had completely lost it, as she took the new fake ticket back to the lottery office. No one else has claimed this one, right? Quick, schedule my appointment. I have all my documents. The lottery employees exchanged worried glances. One of them kept her busy with small talk while another quietly called the police. The police arrived quickly and arrested her on the spot. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison for violating lottery regulations and attempting to commit fraud with a counterfeit ticket. My ex-mother-in-law was all over the news. You had to admit, modern technology was impressive. She looked 10 years younger than before her trip, but her face was twisted with hate, making her look utterly hideous. She couldn't understand why I had succeeded and she had failed, so she sent a message through someone, asking to see me. My parents came with me to the prison. She picked up the phone on her side of the glass. My son and I are millions of dollars in debt. I'm not asking for much, just help us pay it off, and I won't report you for cashing a fake lottery ticket. I smiled at her. Go ahead and report me. Her face froze. What do you mean? My ticket wasn't fake. How is that possible? You're lying. That night, she stopped short. I leaned closer to the glass partition and finished her sentence for her. That's right. That night, you swapped my ticket. But then, I got up and swapped it back. My ex-mother-in-law looked like she was about to breathe fire. I was genuinely afraid she was going to scream, "Pikachu, I choose you," at me. With a loud bang, she slammed the phone receiver against the glass partition. Then she started screaming obscenities. A moment later, she was dragged away by the guards. Mark knew the truth now, too. He had lost his job and was buried in an insurmountable mountain of debt. A neighbor told me that he knelt outside my old house for a long, long time. He was crying, begging to see me, saying he was wrong, that he still loved me, and pleading for another chance. But the neighbor told him, "They've already moved. Your crying is just disturbing the rest of us." He sobbed so hard his diaphragm started spasming. "M- Moved where? I'll follow her to the ends of the earth. She went abroad to study." Mark's eyes went vacant, his face a mask of utter despair. Even if he wanted to find me now, he probably couldn't even afford a plane ticket. He sold the luxury car. All the expensive things his mother had bought on a whim were sold at a huge discount. Only the 3 cruise tickets were worth anything substantial. I had a friend buy the resold tickets for me. I got all 3 for $120,000. I have to say, a luxury cruise is one of life's great pleasures. I took pictures of all the beautiful sights along the way and had them developed. Then I mailed them to my ex-mother-in-law, who was doing time in prison. The guard said she was always having fits, yelling that her good fortune had been stolen from her. She said she'd haunt me, even after she was dead. Some people never learn. To this day, she's still convinced she's a stunning beauty, a goddess who just had some bad luck and was wronged by others. Mark's new wife had an abortion. Then she kicked him to the curb and ran off with another rich guy. Someone who knew him said he cried all day, every day like a jilted housewife. The bank repossessed his family's house. Everything they had ever owned was sold off. He went back to his old classmate begging for his job back so he could make a living. But his classmate just scratched his head and frowned. "I just finished washing the rice out of my hair. You want to dump a pile of crap on it now?" Mark got the message. He stood up and slunk away without another word. I studied early childhood education abroad. A few years later, I returned to my hometown and got a job as a senior teacher at a prestigious preschool. I bought my parents a big house and a car. They weren't expensive, but they were nice, good enough for us. I put the rest of the money into long-term savings. I grew up in an ordinary family. In fact, when I was little, we were pretty poor. So I have no business sense, and I don't want to exhaust myself and my family with risky ventures. A simple, quiet life suits me better. The money will run out one day. I just hope it happens slowly, so the happiness can last a little longer. A vacation or 2 every year, and good food to enjoy now and then? That's enough for me. I don't have any grand ambitions, and I don't think I'm suited for the lavish lifestyle of the ultra-rich. My parents are the same way. They missed their hometown, so we came back. I wanted to visit the lottery stand that had changed my life, but when I got there, it was surrounded by a thick crowd, and it was hard to squeeze through. A big, eye-catching banner was stretched across the top. "Congratulations! Our station sold a 30 million grand prize ticket." The banner was tattered and faded from the sun and rain. Someone standing next to me whispered to their friend, "See them? That's the mother and son. They're like lunatics buying lottery tickets every single day. They spend every penny they have on them, don't even bother with food." I craned my neck to look inside the small shop. There sat 2 figures, both familiar yet strange. It was Mark and his mother. Their clothes were torn and ragged, their hair a tangled mess. They looked completely destitute. The strangers next to me kept chatting. Why, are they crazy? Well, this stand sold a grand prize ticket once. See that old lady? She claims she was the one who won. So how'd she end up like this? Her ticket was a fake. She had someone make it for her, then tried to cash it and got arrested on the spot. And then? She just got out of prison. Now she's saying her luck has returned and she can win again. So she and her son spend every cent they earn on tickets, huge amounts. They don't even eat. Just then, the owner of the stand started shouting, "Hey, get out of here. Go on, get out. You 2 are blocking the entrance and you don't even have money to buy anything. Are you trying to put me out of business?" My ex-mother-in-law got right in his face. "What did you just say? You're kicking me out. I'm a $30 million winner." Right. You're a $30 million winner. So take out some money and buy a ticket." Mark stood behind them, not daring to breathe. His mother kept arguing with the owner. Suddenly, someone from the back of the crowd shouted, "There they are at the lottery stand. Get them. Don't let them get away this time." The moment they heard the shout, Mark and his mother took off running. "See?" the stranger next to me said. "After they got out, they couldn't pay their debts, so they went to loan sharks. Now they're always getting chased down and beaten up. I sighed and walked away. Not long after, I heard that Mark had been beaten so badly, one of his legs was permanently damaged. His mother was confined to a wheelchair, too. A few days later, I got a text on my old number from my ex mother in law. I heard you're back. I'm not asking for much. Give me $1 million. Then I won't come to your house and cause trouble. I turned off the phone, took out the SIM card, and threw it as far as I could. Suddenly, I understood something my dad used to say to me when I was a kid. A leopard can't change its spots,